Welcome back, everyone. I'm Crane Bramp, your old brainiacs, and it's autumn in Medieval Dynasty. That means the sights and scents of the holidays as the leaves turn colors and we start prepping for winter. It's gonna be a chilly one, so dig that fall coat out of storage, grab a tankard of mulled wine, and let's fall into fall. Can you believe that it's autumn already? How time flies when you're working your butt off. So this episode's not going to be any different as we're prepping for winter and we have a lot to do. But before we get started, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. You already know how it goes. You hit the button, you get notified when I drop new stuff. Easy peasy. Anyway, kicking it off, I'm doing a little bit of cleanup in the old town, and you know how you lose something and you're kind of embarrassed so you don't say anything and you figure you'll find it but you never do? Well, check this out. 110 logs. For those sharp-memoried folks out there, I spent all of the first night gathering logs and then misplaced them. I think what happened was they rolled down here by the water and I never could find them. Well, I was so embarrassed I didn't say anything. Well, here they are, sitting by the water, so yay for 110 free logs, right? Anyway, I'm going to call that intentional and we're going to move right along. Lucky find, though, as we're opening up with building. Now, normally I hate to waste daylight for building, but it's time to get some houses done and start building our village. We have buildings such as our woodcutter shed that need tending, and we can't do that without some place for our new villagers to stay. So we knock out 2 houses, grab us some supplies, and we're off into Gustovia. Also picking up rocks and sticks on the way to either make into stone knives to sell and or carry the stones back. Trying to be a little bit more efficient as I'm not so pressed for time when the series first started to, get those quests out of the way. Our first year is more setup. We'll fall into a rhythm of sorts once we get around to year 2, probably. Now, stopping by the campfire, I spy 3 young lasses looking for a village to stretch their legs in. So we grab Henrika and Ludwiga, assign them to houses and jobs. Henrika with her 3 excavation becomes our lumberjack. Is a female lumberjack a lumberjill? Perhaps one of life's great mysteries. Ludwiga with her 3 hunting gets put in the hunting lodge. I set the wood shed to gather a variety of items, splitting it evenly. And although I do make the hunting lodge gathering varied stuff at first, I realized later in the day that I get enough meat myself out hunting to support the village for quite a while. I mean, we got close to 150 meat. So I end up setting this to producing nothing but leather. The logic here is that we'll be making simple bags out of this to sell as our next big crafting sell. It's just leather. They sell for a decent amount of coin, but most importantly, they're super light and can be carried in large amounts around to the traders. So, leather it is. Now, as always, we stop by with Sovamir and buy all of his manure, gotta have more poop, and start checking for easy quests. Alberta wants some mushrooms, which will be an easy one. It's now autumn. They're all around, so I'll gather them as I'm out and about. We also stop by and speak to Alwyn, let him know that we talked to the boy and finish off that quest, grabbing us some dynasty reputation, and then talk to Limberta, who just needs some fish and meat.
Stranger.
All easy quests, easy dynasty points. We've also got a bit more traveling to do, and while we're out, I'll check for quests. Getting home, I turn our poop into fertilizer and then do some gathering for more sticks and stones, a bit of wood and sticks, and replenish all of the worker buildings with tools, some hoes for the barn, stone knives for the hunter's lodge, axes for the woodcutter shed, and so on. And then I spend the rest of the night chopping trees and making planks. Also, there was a whole joke about the hoes in a pole barn, but we'll just move on. Note that there's an option in your settings to do bulk crafting where you can do this whole run of planks in 6 seconds that I'm doing. I don't have this turned on for the series because I feel it throws the economy off and I make too much money. Your own choice, but it's the old-fashioned way for me, one at a time for old Crane. Anyway, planks we turn into buckets. We'll keep some buckets of water and we'll sell the rest. Finally, I work on finding those mushrooms. Now, Turns out she wants bolete mushrooms, which are different from bitter bolete mushrooms, which are much more abundant and easier to find. So, using my survival sense, I managed to find enough of these for the quest, and survival sense really is the best. Day 2, unfortunately, finds us with nasty weather once again as we get ready to head out. Now, I've turned the rain audio down a little bit this time in the hopes that it's not so obnoxious as it was in the last video. Make a comment if it's still too loud, we'll turn that shit down again. So, it's early when we pull into town, but, you know, that's okay. Albretta needs to get up anyway. I don't know what you're laying in the bed for. Get up. You got work to do. Here's your mushrooms. Thank you for those dynasty points, and, you know, have a good day, madam. All the rest of the traders are in bed and or don't want to talk to us, so I guess it's off to see Samber. This time, though, I'm actively hunting wolves, as I want leather, meat, and I also have a quest to kill some wolves. Getting pretty good with the bow, but, you know, we're down to like 2 iron arrows at this point. Definitely gonna have to grab a few more if we can. I'd even be willing to buy some, you know, for the right price. We stop by the swamp looking for some boar and, oh, get absolutely freaking sconed, man. And with one shot, we complete chapter 4 and open up chapter 5. Ah, progress is a good thing. So, finding Samber in a panic, we managed to calm him down long enough to find out that he needs us to kill an owl? Well, there's an owl hooting around the place, and Samber can't find it, and apparently it's driving him loony. So, alright, let's see if we can find this owl. Sounds like it's coming from... what the... well, turns out this fine young gentleman right here is our owl. Initially defiant at first after letting him know just who he's been terrorizing, he quickly gives up the game. He's been hired by another member of the pack, Wolrad, who lives over in Rolnica. Seems the pack loves practical jokes. I love these guys, by the way. And Wolrad has gotten Samber pretty good. Samber, of course, wants to get him back and tells us to return tomorrow for a package he'd like to deliver. Sounds good. I'd like to make Whirlwind anyway. Cutting back through Boro, the traders are out, so we dump everything and end up with a bit over 550 coin. Excellent. Now, we take the time to go on and knock out the bag and the knife to finish out part 1 of the chapter 5 quest, with the next one opening up with us needing some seed. Now, that's pretty easy. If we don't have them at home, you know what, we'll just buy them. We got plenty of money at the moment. I mean, not like we're rich or anything, but... Speaking of buying, I do grab 50 rye grain from Edwin, as it is autumn, and it's one of the fall-winter crops. Rye needs to be planted now. It'll mature in spring, so we need to get it in the ground. Talking to Sam, we turn in our Night Howl quest and grab those dynasty points, and then head over, buy some fish meat from the barkeep, find Lambetta, and finish off the meat quest. That cleans up our quest list considerably and gives us quite a bit more coin. For evening, it's back to the village to put the rye seed and some inventory management. Check to make sure the rye is being seeded, and it is, and settle down to make a huge batch of stone knives to get rid of. A large batch of bags, some for planning, some for selling, and roast up all the meat that we currently have in storage. Also, now's a good time to take stock. So, we have a food and resource storage. We have a woodcutter shed, hunting lodge, and a barn, all manned by villagers, and a workshop. We've unlocked a small amount of schemes and have a very, very basic village. So next on the list, I'd like to get our animals up and running, which is really expensive, by the way. And also start laying out the village of tomorrow, I guess you could say. Would like to lay out some fencing and make a town square or a common area like with the well, a campfire, some standing torches, benches for people to sit on. I'm thinking that central area can eventually hold our vendor stalls, and then we can organize buildings into zones for easier travel between them. Also, getting our animals started will give us some manure when we can then begin turning that into fertilizer, and we don't have to basically sell everything and then buy fertilizer for it. Anyway, enough of my blab, and the rest of the night is spent, you guessed it, gathering resources. The last day of the season opens up with us expanding our farm. So one worker can usually handle a 10 by 10 field, so we add another 5 by 10, make it rye, and let him get to work. Today is the last day of the season, so we've got traveling and quests to do. So we hit Gustovia, and, well, everyone's asleep. Fine. Take my business elsewhere. Running up to Boro, I dump some feathers, bags, and simple knives with Falibor, and then head up to Samber, grab the package from him, and then it's off across the valley to Tuki. I find Woolrad working out in the fields and strike up a conversation with him. Woolrad immediately notices my eyes, and we're almost immediate friends. He suggests throwing out the package as it likely contains Samber's shit, and I quickly agree. We talk for a moment, and of course he has something he'd like me to do, doesn't everybody? Seems they're being menaced by some wolves, and he'd like me to gather a few logs to build a palisade. A few. As in 1,000. Okay. So, turns out, as I figured, it was a prank, but he does have something he'd really like me to do. Seems his wife wants to put a cow down that they bought. Woolrad is a softie, and yep, I get picked. So, I run over to his wife, Amanda, and manage to talk her out of killing the cow at all, and all is right with the world. For the trouble, I get a story from Woolrad. Turns out he was a traveling dice cheater back in the day and ran across Lorden. Lorden figured out he was cheating, but just smiled, paid up, and left. Intrigued, Woolrad followed him, and after being very persistent, was accepted into the group. Now, we do get a piece of string for our next quest. There was a second in command, Kestrel, who he's failed to mention. Do we have a possible old flame? So, heading back to Gustovia, I do a bit of hunting, and I'm just still so glad I have a recurve bow early with the iron arrows. Total game changer. Erwin buys a few stone knives and bags from me that I made while out, and I buy 15 carrot seeds, 15 cabbage seeds, and 15 oat grain seeds to finish off my quest. Nice. I also buy some wheat grain, some flaxseed, and some additional cabbage seeds so that we've got stuff for spring ready. We grab Unigos to complete our quest and to slake that curiosity that we have about Kestrel. So, turns out she joined the pack after they tried to semi-steal some horses from her. They took the horses, but they left some money. Her and Lorden ended up in a relationship, but Lorden just viewed the relationship as another new thing, a game, and soon went back to betting women, with the new game being keeping it from Kestrel. To add even more drama to the tale, Unigos and Kestrel start having an affair, and she got pregnant. And so here's Unigos, knowing she's pregnant, but doesn't know whose it is, and even if he found out that it was his, he'd still have to keep it secret and pretend he was the kid's uncle. Not a great situation. However, seems Samber may know where Kestrel is. Perhaps we'll get to meet her. Heading back to the farm, I've got a farming quest, and I need to lay out another plot anyway. So I laid out one large field, and then grub, fertilize, plow, and sow one cell to finish off that quest, because it is literally about to change season, and we're trying to bang out this quest. And that literally puts us right at the end of the season, dead of the night, pitch black, just barely squeaking our quests in. And that, my friends, is autumn. You know, I'm really pleased with our progress so far. We've got Chapter 6 quest to build some buildings, and Unigos quest waiting. It'll be winter, there'll be snow, maybe even a snowman. Who knows? So, until next episode, thanks for tuning in. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more, and have a great day, guys.